And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, sometimes you see a game that makes you just stop and look at it. And I believe that's the case of Sagrada. This is a really beautiful cover. It's a game about making those beautiful stained glass windows in cathedrals. And again, this is one of the times where I applaud in a sense because I like this theme. But what makes this theme even cooler is it's using piles of colorful dice. Beautiful dice, they're really nice dice, and you're going to be drafting these dice and building your own stained glass window. Now the theme isn't that strong, right? It's just about placing dice. It's a drafting dice game where you're taking dice and trying to place them inside your window, matching numbers, matching colors, trying to get the highest score that you possibly can. Let's take a look. Each player is going to get one of these starting boards, and they're different colors, and they're beautiful. They don't really matter, though. What matters is players are going to get these cards, and you're going to decide which side of the card to use. And the cards have different values, but whichever side you use, so for example, this side has a value of 6, this side has a value of 4, this one is easier than this one. However, if I use this one, I will get 6 favor tokens as opposed to 4 if I only use this one. Whichever one you do decide to use, you're going to stick it so that it pulls up into your cathedral, and you can see the different spots here. Some have colors and some have numbers. Each player is going to be given a secret objective card, which shows what color is worth more to them, so you know that you're going to be going for a specific color. There's going to be some public objective cards that are placed here, and these are going to score points at the end of the game. So for example, here you get 6 points for each row that has no repeated colors, so one of every color in a row. This one here, you get 2 points for every set of 3 and 4 you can find in your thing. And this one here, count all diagonally adjacent same color dice. So here you can see these dice are adjacent to each other diagonally. You're also going to have some tool cards placed out. These tool cards are going to be cards that players can use on their turn to do various things, to kind of manipulate your dice. So you saw on the drop, there's a lot of dice in this game. There's actually 90 dice here. And so each round of the game, one player is going to pull dice from the bag. So let's say it's a 3-player game. You're going to pull 7. How do I know it's 7? Well, 2 times the number of players plus 1 for 1 extra one. So here we have our 7 dice. That person will roll those dice. Those dice will be placed where everyone can see it. And then the start player is going to draft one of these dice. They're going to take one dice and place it in their cathedral, or they can pass and just get rid of it. Then the second player will take one, then the third player takes another one, then the second player, then the first player, and then the last die you put here, and this helps keep track of the rounds of the game. You also, on your turn, have an opportunity to use one of these tools. You can use your favor tokens that you have. They'll be on your window here. When you put a tool, when you use a tool, the first person to use it only pays 1. The next person to use it pays 2, etc., etc. Keeping these are worth points at the end of the game, so you only want to use a tool when it's really important and will help you out. As you can see, this one here says after drafting, flip it to the opposite side. That can be pretty handy. Or re-roll dice in a draft pool. Or here, move any one die in your window, ignoring the color restrictions. Speaking of color restrictions, let's take a closer look here at the window. When placing dice, the first die has to go somewhere on the outside. So maybe I want to place this die here, a 5 purple. Now, whenever you place a die, if in the future, it has to go next to this die. So when you go next to this die, so I can see it can go here or here, there will be restrictions in some of the spots. So for example, here, there's no restriction. It can be anything, except it can't be a purple and it can't be a 5, because you can never have 2 of the same color next to each other, or 2 of the same number next to each other. So this 6 red could legitimately fit there. This blue 4 can go here next to the 6, because this has to be a 4. It doesn't matter what color it is, it just has to be a 4. And then next to that, you can see it could be a 3, but it can't be this blue 3. Why? Because this is a blue. Here, this is a red. It doesn't matter what number it is, as long as it's a red, although again, a red 4 won't fit there because there is a 4 there. But I could put this red 6 there, and that's fine. And then maybe a purple 5 would go here. And then a purple 3 is going to go here. So you're going to try to fill this in as much as you possibly can. Once 10 turns have gone by, everyone is then going to take each of the public objective cards and see if they can score for them. So let's say, for example, I had, well, not the, let's say this was my bottom row. You can see there's one of every color in that bottom row, and that gives me a bonus of 6 points. If I was going for purple, I would be doing pretty well because I'm going to get the sum of all the values on purple dice. So that's 13 on the purple dice. And let me look here. Hopefully this would not be my ending position because I would hopefully have filled in more spots. Every 3 and 4. So here's a 3 and 4, there's a 3 and 4, there's a 3, but no matching 4. So I have 2 sets, so I get another 4 points. And then this one says diagonal adjacent of the same color, so the number. So here I have 2 purples next to each other diagonally. That's it. So that's another 2 points for this one. And then you add up your points. The way you're going to add up points is you're going to take this, which was used to keep track of the rounds. You flip it over, and each player puts a score marker on it and keeps track of their points. Most points is the winner. So I already mentioned production. The production in this game is just gorgeous. From the stained glass windows to once it's full of dice, it looks good, to the cards are high quality, to the box, you have a nice bag for the dice. The whole thing just is like, woohoo! And when people walk by, they're like, what are you playing? So that's good. The game itself is also a simple game. I don't mean that it's simple as in simplistic. It's easy to play, but there's a lot of different things going on. But what I mean is, it's like, hey, take a die, put it next to the dice you have already, match the numbers and the colors, or don't match the numbers and the colors, but match them to your grid. And that's pretty easy for people to understand. If there's any confusion with the game, it would come probably from the tool cards and knowing when to use them, because it's kind of an odd concept. Okay, the first person to use it, it's cheaper, but if you use it early, you might as well use it early. On your turn, you can draft 1 die, or you must draft 1 die or discard it, and then you can use a tool. And using tools early is great, but the problem is you don't need them as much early. You'll need them way more as time goes by because your grid is starting to fill and you're like, okay, for this spot, I need a blue 3 or a red 3. Only 2 ones that will fit here. And sometimes I need a blue 3. Well, the chance of a blue 3 being rolled isn't very high, but maybe with those tools you can manipulate it. However, other people have used those tools, so you might be down to just a few of these favor tokens left. And that's a good mechanism, and that might be the only thing that would trip off new people as they come in. But other than that, the drafting of the dice is a pretty simple thing, and you're going to put it there. So that's really the fun of the game. The game is a simple one. This could be nominated for Spiel des Jahres, honestly. That's the style of this game. I don't know if it can be, because I don't know if it was produced in Germany, but I'm saying it feels that way. This feels like a gateway game, a game you can say, hey, sit down, let's just play a game. We're going to pull dice, we're going to roll dice, we're going to draft these dice, put them in here, we're going to build a beautiful stained glass window. And that's great. It's a game with a hook. It's fun and easy to get into. You can decide whether to build a harder window or an easier window. You're going to sit there and try to match the goals on the table, match the goal in your hand. So every die that comes out, you're like, which dice should I take? But it's not too long. We're talking 30, 45 minutes. It scales well, plays 2, 3, or 4 players. I wonder why they didn't add the 5th player, but either way, it's good. Now, it's going to be compared to other dice drafting games. There isn't many of them. The one that came out last year is Roll Player, and I've actually had a chance to play this and Roll Player back to back, and I think Roll Player is a better game. There's more involved, but I could see myself bringing this one out just as much because, first of all, the theme of this is going to appeal to a lot of people. Roll Player is a great theme, but it's going to appeal to people who want to build characters in Dungeons & Dragons. This will appeal to anybody. This is a game that I could bring into my family and they would like it. Also, this one is just a wonderfully gorgeous production, and it's simple and easy to teach. So, if you're looking for something that's different, theme-wise, that looks great on the table, but is also interesting and easy to play, but offers some pretty devious choices. Sometimes you'll sit there and go, you want to be the first person to draft, which means you're the last one to draft, so you're picking between 2 dice. Or if you're the 3rd or 4th person to draft, it's not so bad because you're going to get 2 dice in a row. I like that concept. It works well. Certainly a game to check out. And it feels like a breath of fresh air. It's like, yeah, this is the kind of game publishers should be making. Good job on them. Sagrada. Dice Tower Judgment approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at coolstuffinc.com.
Shut the door!